Hello, YouTubers out there. This is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So today we're talking about the teaser to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is the new Quentin Tarantino movie, his ninth film, that will be released in July. This is a film that apparently deals with events circling around the time of the Manson murders, although it more likely is also taking place 2 years before. So I'm going to say this film probably takes place sometime between 1966, 67 through 1969. There are a couple of reasons for this. Number one, Bruce Lee appears in the teaser, played by Mike Moe, who's a martial arts expert, and does Bruce Lee's voice. It's just fantastic, and you could clearly see he's one hell of a fighter as well. I think, like some people said, if they ever decide to do a Bruce Lee movie with this guy, which is unlikely, but at least a biography, this is the guy to do it right, because they haven't really done a really good version of Bruce Lee's life on film yet, and we're not going to count any of the exploitation films from the 70s that played fast and loose with the facts. But anyhow, Bruce Lee is shown in the teaser fighting Brad Pitt, who plays a stuntman, and he's clearly wearing what looks like the Green Hornet costume. So he's on a Hollywood set, so clearly this is probably at the very least set in around 66, 67, because by the time of 1969, which is when I would venture to guess most of the film actually takes place in, Bruce Lee at that point had already worked with Sharon Tate, which some of you may not know, training her for fight scenes in a Dean Martin movie called The Wrecking Crew, which I believe came out in 67 or 68. So he already knew Sharon Tate. They were kind of definitely friends to a certain extent. But the Green Hornet had already been over at that point. And so right around that time too, Bruce Lee appeared in a small role in Marlowe with James Garner, which came out in '69. So he had bits and small bits here and there. Long Street being another TV series with James Franciscus, which came out in 1970. Anyway, let's not get bogged down with Bruce Lee. Just trying to establish a timeline here. So now, Sharon Tate is played clearly by Margot Robbie, and I can definitely say she captures Sharon Tate. How much of the innocence she captures, I'm sure she will. There's something a little, to me anyway, a little, I don't want to say harder edged, but there's something about Margot Robbie that there's an edge to her, so she may have to downplay that a little bit for her role as Sharon Tate. At least that's my impression. Now, getting back to the actors, so Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Leo DiCaprio plays a Western movie or TV star, and Brad Pitt plays a stuntman. And they live together right next door to Sharon Tate on Cielo Drive. That's at least so far what we know about the film. Damon Lewis appears in the film as Steve McQueen. Damon Lewis, by the way, most of you might know from the TV show Billions. Damon Harriman plays Charles Manson. You see a very brief clip of him. You don't see Damien Lewis in the teaser, but I'm just kind of coming up with a list of all the names here. He plays Charles Manson, and he will also play Charles Manson in the series Mindhunter. So he's doing it twice. Keep in mind, too, 1969, 2019, this is the 50th anniversary of the events of the Manson murders in Woodstock. So, okay, Al Pacino also appears in the film, although he's not seen in the teaser. Kurt Russell, although we don't know what role he plays, same with Tim Roth. There's an actress named Samantha Robinson, who's real young. She plays Abigail Folger. And that's, she had been staying with, or was visiting Sharon Tate in her home when these murders occurred. So there's going to be, I'm sure, some of that focus on her as well. Emil Hirsch plays Jay Sebring, who is also a friend of Sharon Tate's. And I mean, this is just a huge cast between Rumer Willis as Joanna Patet, who I believe was also a friend of Sharon Tate's. You have Bruce Dern as George Spahn, who owns the Spahn Movie Ranch, at least formerly known as such. A wildfire had destroyed most of the Spahn Ranch back in I think it was back in the late 70s or early 80s. Spahn, of course, died at the age of 80 plus years. And this was a role that was originally going to be played by Burt Reynolds. The interesting thing about the Spahn Ranch, and which may play into this into the film in regards to these two lead roles, once again DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, is that the Spahn Movie Ranch, as it was known, was a 55-acre ranch in Los Angeles County, and these were movie sets used for westerns, not the least of which was, of course, Bonanza. So, and The Outlaw with Jane Russell, directed by Howard Hughes from back in the day. Mostly western-themed movies and television shows. So, probably some of that will figure into these two actors, or mostly DiCaprio, I should say, as the western movie star and TV star, using or maybe using some of these locations at the Spahn Ranch, ironically enough, where the Manson family had later stayed, filming some of these shows. So I'm not clear as to when they stopped using it for filming westerns or anything of that nature. But nonetheless, because the Spahn Ranch is also where the Manson family stayed, and they also stayed at Barker Ranch, this will figure into the story. So, the teaser is terrific. I mean, mostly what it does is it establishes a mood. It establishes an innocence of that time, which was, you could say there was free love, but it shows just the innocence, a certain kind of upbeat spirit about the time. Something maybe more optimistic, despite all the trouble that was occurring and all the hysteria in the late 60s between the assassinations of JFK and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, the race riots and all this other stuff. There was still certain innocence in Hollywood, and then that was cut short by the Manson family. So that's really what the teaser sets up. Now, it's not clear to me how this is going to play out, and also because we do see the character of Charles Manson and Dakota Fanning as Squeaky Fromme, and these characters, in addition to the Western stars and of course Sharon Tate, will he show the actual murders? Now, I have a feeling that Tarantino will not go there. This script, by the way, was given its blessing by Deborah Tate, Sharon Tate's, I believe, younger sister, if I'm not mistaken. She's 67 now. And she gave her blessing to the project. And she was happy that Tarantino reached out to her and showed her the script. And also the fact that they decided to release the film a little earlier instead of around August, which I believe is around the time when the Manson murders happened. So as not to be in some bad taste, if you like. But what ultimately Tarantino might do is hard to say. I mean, there's something comical about the teaser, so until we see another trailer, it'll be tough to say for sure what the tone of the film will be. I'm venturing to guess it will capture the innocence of the time and some of the humor, and it will be counterbalanced with Manson and his family and what they are up to, which is, of course, really up to no good. But the tone of the film will be hard to say. What exactly are they going for? I don't know. So I guess we'll have to just wait and see until then, and until the next trailer comes out. But don't be surprised if this is the first film to focus on Charles Manson that may not have any violence whatsoever. It will be Tarantino at his most restrained, perhaps, possibly, since Jackie Brown in 1997. which, if you remember that film, was fairly muted in terms of violence. So we'll see. And until then, this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe to my channel and lend me your thoughts on Tarantino's film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. What do you think this is? How do you think this is going to play out?